At its peak, the British Empire controlled a quarter of the entire planet. But here's the part nobody tells you. Britain almost didn't become an empire at all. In fact, for most of its history, it was the loser of Europe. So how did the underdog end up owning basically everything? Let's find out. Rewind to the 1500s. Spain and Portugal have already split the entire non-European world between them like it's a pizza. Spain's got the gold. Portugal's got the spice routes. Britain's got sheep. And a king who really wants a divorce.
Hey, Pope, can I get an annulment? Sorry, that's not legal. Fine, I'll just make my own church then.
So Henry VIII splits from Rome, England goes Protestant, and now it's Catholic Europe versus one soggy island with a grudge.
Your Majesty, the Spanish are furious about the piracy.
Piracy? I prefer the term creative maritime commerce.
Spain's got the biggest navy on Earth. England's got pirates. Well-dressed pirates. In 1588, Spain sends an armada of 130 ships to finally shut England up. A storm wrecks half of it before it even arrives. England wins basically by luck, and that's the theme of this whole story. It was just really, really good at showing up right when everyone else was tired. The British Empire wasn't really built by the British government. It was built by a company.
By royal decree, this agreement is now finalized.
In 1600, a group of London merchants get a piece of paper from the Queen that says they can trade in Asia.
I'm glad we could meet today to discuss the contract. We must ensure this agreement is strictly enforced, by any means necessary.
We have a private army?
We will.
The East India Company builds its own military, larger than the actual British Army. This one company slowly takes over the trade routes of India, one deal and one battle at a time. At the Battle of Plassey, the company doesn't just trade with India, it starts ruling it. For almost 100 years, the largest, richest, most populous region on Earth was governed not by a king, but by shareholders. That's just Asia. At the exact same time, Britain was busy losing its first empire completely. Britain's American colonies are booming. Millions of settlers, 13 colonies stacked along the coast. Britain wins an expensive war against France and needs someone to pay the bill.
Hey, colonies, remember that war we won for you?
We remember.
Thanks again. We're gonna need you to pay some taxes for it.
We don't get a vote, though. That's not really the point.
1776 happens. Britain loses its biggest colony, its biggest economy, and honestly, its pride. You think that's the end of the story. Empire over, go home. Instead, Britain just looks at a map and shrugs. Fine, we'll take Canada, and Australia, and half of Africa, and basically all of India. Britain pivots hard toward Asia, the Pacific, and eventually Africa. This is where things go from big to genuinely absurd. Here's the real secret weapon, and it's not soldiers, it's the steam engine. Britain builds factories that can produce more cloth, iron, and weapons in a day than most nations could in a year.
We've invented a machine that does the work of 100 men.
Amazing! What do we do with it?
Make more weapons and teacups.
Coal, steel, and gunpowder become Britain's actual empire-building trio. India becomes the jewel in the crown. Its raw cotton shipped to British factories, turned into cloth, then sold right back to India at a markup. It's a closed loop, and Britain owns every step of it.
Watch the edge, easy does it. Stack them up with the others.
You want us to stop selling opium? Yes. Or we could just take Hong Kong instead.
2 wars later, Hong Kong is British, and Chinese ports are forced open to British trade. The real prize, the one that made Britain the biggest empire in history, hadn't even been claimed yet. It's sitting right there, on a continent Europe had barely touched. In 1 decade, 7 countries are about to carve it up like a Thanksgiving turkey. By the 1880s, every major European power wants a piece of Africa, and nobody wants a war over it.
Let us divide this land.
So in 1884, they all sit down in Berlin, without a single African delegate in the room.
First rule, you can't claim land someone else already claimed. Second rule, you can't claim land you don't actually occupy. Fair enough. Anything else? That's it. Good luck. Wait, Africans already occupy and claim entire continent. Not our problem.
In under 20 years, the entire continent is divided by straight lines on a map, drawn by men who'd mostly never set foot there. Britain ends up with the lion's share. Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa. A dream of a railway running from Cairo to Cape Town, the entire length of the continent, all British. By 1920, the British Empire covers roughly 13 million square miles, a quarter of the world's land. The sun, quite literally, never sets on it, because it's always daytime somewhere in the empire. So what happened to it? 2 world wars happened. Britain wins both, technically, but comes out broke, exhausted, and holding an empire it can no longer afford to run.
We won! We are bankrupt!
The people in the empire, India especially, had just spent years being told they were fighting for freedom and democracy.
What is liberty without unity? Can we truly have one without the other?
In 1947, India becomes independent. Colony after colony follows. Nigeria, Kenya, Jamaica, dozens more. The empire that once covered a quarter of the earth shrinks down to a handful of small islands. Britain didn't rise to power because it was the strongest nation in Europe. It rose because it was patient, lucky, ruthless when it mattered, and it let a private company do most of the conquering for it. It fell for the exact same reason every empire eventually falls. It got too big to hold on to. A quarter of the world, built by pirates, shareholders, and steam engines, and gone in less than a lifetime.
If you want the next chapter, how India actually won its independence, subscribe to History Rewind, and I'll see you in the next one.